securities or financial or una sa lahat, gusto ko muna pasalamatan kayong lahat na nanonood ng aking video lectures. Please subscribe and share it to your other classmates. So, another topic na naman tayo dito on investment. So, kung hindi mo pa napapanood ang ating investment overview, please panoorin mo po yan kasi continuation ng overview itong video lectures na ito. So, on this video, we are going to discuss about financial assets measured at fair value through profit or loss. And this is also known as the trading securities. So parehas lang yan. As an investor, meron tayong dalawang klaseng securities or investment na pwede nating i-purchase sa corporations. We have our equity securities at meron tayong tinatawag na debt securities. Ang equity securities natin, yan po ang ating investment in equity. At ang debt securities naman natin, yan po ang ating investment in bonds on the books of the investor. Maraming classifications ang bawat securities na ito. So, ito yung mga klase ng ating investment in equity at ang investment in bonds. Sa investment in equity, kinuha ko lang ang dalawang financial assets measured at fair value through profit or loss or the trading securities at ang financial asset measured at fair value through OCI or other comprehensive income. Alright? Dito naman sa investment in bonds, which is the bonds of the corporations, kina-classify itong investment in bonds into three. We have our financial assets at FA-FVPL at saka financial asset at FVOCI. And the other one is the financial asset at amortized cost. What qualifies an investment or the securities as financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss, also known as the trading securities? So the big question here is, what qualifies an investment as trading securities or financial asset through FVPL? So meron tayong tinatawag na by requirement and by consequence. So, meron tayong tinatawag na by requirement and by consequence. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kung ang intention ng investor sa kanyang investment or sa kanyang securities is to sell and repurchase these securities in the near future or in the near term, ang ibig sabihin kung magba-buy and sell lang ang company, yan ang intention niya sa securities na ito. Kapag tumaas ang market value ng securities ay ibibenta niya kaagad. Kung yan ang intention niya, in accordance to the Philippines Financial Reporting Standards, this security should be qualified as financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss or as trading securities. Kasi buy and sell lang ang intention ng investor sa mga securities na ito. So, kinakailangan, according to Philippine Financial Reporting Standards, ang securities na ito ay dapat i-qualify as trading securities. Meron din tayong tinatawag na by irrevocable designation. Or this is also known as by option. So, anong ibig sabihin ng by irrevocable designations or by options? Ang ibig sabihin yan is the company or the investor opted or elected, pinili niya itong mga securities na ito na maging trading securities by irrevocable designations. Kapag ang securities ay irrevocably designated by the company, ang ibig sabihin, hindi po niya mababago ito. ito. So kung ito ang reason na na-classify itong securities na ito as financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss or trading securities, hindi po niya mapapalitan yon. Ang ibig sabihin, from the time na binili ng company up to the time na ibibenta niya securities, ang classifications niya ay mag-i-stay sa financial assets, FVPL, or trading securities. Hindi niya ito ma-reclassify sa iba pang mga classifications. Another one is what we call by default. So, anong ibig sabihin ng by default? Kapag ang securities na yon ay hindi niya maklasify sa financial asset measured at fair value OCI or at amortized cost, kung hindi niya ma-classify sa dalawang ito, then by default, ang classifications ng kanyang securities na binili niya ay financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss or trading securities. So, ito yung mga reasons kung bakit nakakwalify ang ating investment as trading securities by requirement or by consequence in accordance to the Philippine Financial Reporting Standard na dapat i-qualify niya as trading securities. By irrevocable designations or by option, opted or elected by the company or the investor na i-classify niya ito as trading securities. By default naman is, kung itong securities na binili niya sa corporation ay hindi niya ma-classify sa iba pang classifications, by default, ang classification niya ay trading securities. Bakit nakakwalify ang isang investment as trading securities, also known as financial asset through FVPL? Ano yung mga concept na dapat nating tandaan with regards to this trading securities? So, ito ang concept ng financial assets measured at fair value through profit or loss, or also known as the trading securities. So, mag-umpisa tayo sa initial recognitions. Ano ba itong initial recognitions? Ang initial recognitions, ito po yung initial measurement natin on the transaction date. Ang initial recognition natin ay trading securities, ang initial recognition natin ay at fair value or acquisition cost. Ano ba itong fair value? Yan po ang presyo niya sa active market. Parang pumunta ka ng palengke, ang presyo ng mga bilihin doon, yan po ang tinatawag na fair market value. Yung willingness ng buyer at ng seller sa isang presyo. Yan ang fair market value. So the initial recognitions or initial measurement of these securities na i-record natin is at fair value or the acquisition cost kung magkano niya binili yung mga securities na yon sa corporation. Yan ang i-record natin sa transaction date. Yan ang tinatawag na initial recognitions. Kapag bumili ka, meron kang mai-incur na cost aside from the acquisition cost ng securities na yan. So, ang tawag mo dito ay transaction cost. So, itong mga transaction cost na tinatawag, meron dalawang klase ito. We have our direct cost at indirect cost. Under these classifications, ang transaction cost, whether this is direct cost or indirect cost, both are outright expense. So, kapag meron siyang transaction cost, whether direct cost or indirect cost, outright expense mo yan. Hindi mo siya ikinakapitalize sa securities. So, another thing na kailangan mong tandaan is the subsequent measurement. So, ano ba itong subsequent measurement? Ang subsequent measurement is, ni-record mo na siya on the transaction date. Usually, ginagamit natin ang subsequent measurement kapag mag-prepare na tayo ng ating financial statements. Ano ang subsequent measurement ng ating trading securities? Ang subsequent measurement ng ating securities at fair value or fair market value, pare-parehas lang po yan. Alright, another thing na kailangan mong tandaan on this trading securities ay ang tinatawag na unrealized gain or loss. So, paano ba nagkakaroon ng unrealized gains or loss ang trading securities natin? Kapag ang fair market value nagkaroon ng increase or decrease, nagkakaroon ng unrealized gain or loss ang investor or ang company. So, paano natin ito i-present? Ito po ay pinapakita natin sa ating income statement as other expense or other income. So, itong unrealized gain or loss, kapag unrealized gains, yun ay pinipresent as other income. Kapag unrealized loss naman siya, pinapakita as other expense sa income statement natin. So, paano natin ito naka-compute or naka-calculate ang ating unrealized gain or loss? So, ang formula natin sa unrealized gain or loss ay alright, sa pag-compute ng ating unrealized gain or loss, this is equal to your carrying amount of your securities minus your fair value. So, kino-compare mo silang dalawa. Kapag mababa ang fair value, meron kang loss. Kapag mas mataas naman ang fair value ng iyong securities, meron kang gain. Kapag ibinenta mo naman ngayon ang iyong securities, kapag ibinenta mo siya, meron kang tinatawag na realized gain or loss. And this realized gain or loss should be reported in your income statement. So, paano natin naka-calculate ang ating realized gain or loss? So, sa pag-calculate ng ating realized gain or loss sa pagbibenta mo ng iyong securities, the selling price kung magkano mo siya nabenta minus the carrying amount of your securities. Kapag mas mataas yung selling price mo, mas mataas kaysa sa carrying amount ng iyong securities, meron kang realized gain. Kapag nabenta mo naman siya less than your carrying amount, syempre magkakaroon ka ng realized loss. So, paano natin kinaklasify itong financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss or ating trading securities sa ating balance sheet? So, ang classification natin dito sa trading securities na ito on our balance sheet is current assets. Bakit current asset? Ang intention lang ng investor ay buy and sell. So, in the near term, binibenta niya na kaagad itong securities. So, initial recognitions, nire-record natin ang ating securities na ito at fair value, yung acquisition cost. Then, meron din siyang nai-incur na mga transaction costs. Whether this is direct cost or indirect cost, both are outright expense. Hindi mo siya ika-capitalize sa trading securities na yan. So, subsequent measurement naman, kapag mag-prepare ka na ng financial statements, imi-measure mo ang securities na ito at fair value. Kapag merong difference between the carrying amount, nagkakaroon ka ng tinatawag na unrealized gain or loss. Yung unrealized gain or loss ay pinapakita natin as our other income or other expense sa ating income statement. Nadidetermine natin itong unrealized gain or loss kapag kino-compare natin or mina-minus natin itong carrying amount sa fair value on the date of the financial statements. Kapag binenta mo naman ito, yung difference ng pagbibenta mo at saka yung carrying amount ng iyong securities, yan po ang tinatawag na realized gain or loss. Kapag ibinenta mo na siya, na-realize mo na ang gain or loss na dapat na i-report mo sa iyong income statement. Paano mo nadidetermine itong realized gain or loss? I-minus mo po yung selling price sa carrying amount niya nung time na ibinenta mo. At ang classification natin sa balance sheet natin ay current asset. Kasi hinohold lang natin ito in a short period of time. So, ito yung mga concept na dapat mong tandaan when it comes to an investment qualified as financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss or also known as the trading securities. So, paano natin ito ina-account? Let me give you a practice questions at saka natin ilalagay ang ating mga entries para mas maiintindihan natin itong concept. So, ito na nga po ang ating practice questions para mas maintindihan natin ang concept na napag-aralan natin. In this practice questions, we have our transaction date on February 14. Hindi siya bumili ng flowers, ang binili niya securities. Nag-invest siya. Bumili siya ng dalawang klaseng securities. Yung shares of stock ni AUB Company at saka yung bonds ni REY Company. Ito yung acquisition cost niya. We have a 5 million for the shares and we have 2 million for the bonds. Dito naman, nung mag-prepare na siya ng financial statement niya on December 31st of the same year, ito naman ang market value ng dalawang securities na ito na binili niya sa corporations. So the market value on December 31st, year 1, sa financial statement date natin ay yung shares 4,800,000, yung bonds naman ay 2,100,000. And then, on January 10th of year 2, tumaas ang market value ng kanyang securities. So, ibinenta niya ngayon ito. So, nung ibinenta niya itong shares na 5,200,000 noong January 10th at ang bonds binenta niya ng 2,500,000. So, all in all, we have 7,700,000 na napagbentahan niya. On the transaction date is your initial recognitions. So, magkano mo i-record itong securities or itong investment mo? The initial recognitions of your securities will be the acquisition cost. So, ang magiging entry natin dito sa transaction date is debit to trading securities or debit to financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss, and credit to cash. Alright? So, yan ang entry niya nung transaction dates, nung binili niya itong mga securities na ito. Nung mag-prepare na siya ng kanyang financial statement, ito ang kanilang market value. So, kung titingnan mo, the acquisition cost is the carrying amount of your securities. Tapos, ang market value niya is total of 6,900,000. So, bumaba ang value ng kanyang mga securities. So, nagkaroon siya ng loss. Ang loss na ito ay tinatawag na unrealized loss. Ang magiging adjusting journal entry niya dito sa financial statements date na December 31st, year 1 ay debit unrealized loss through profit or loss. So, kailangan naka-indicate ang PL kasi meron din tayong unrealized gain or loss, OCI. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin yon sa separate video. Alright? So, we have debit to unrealized loss, PL, na account because of the decrease in the market value. And then, ang credit naman ito is babawasan natin yung ating securities. So, credit to financial asset, credit to the financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss of the decrease on the market value. Itong unrealized loss ay ipinapakita ito sa iyong income statement under other expense. Your financial asset will be under your current asset. So kung titingnan natin ang ating T account ng ating financial asset, we have a debit of 7 million and we have a credit of 100,000. So the ending balance of your financial asset na account through FVPL ay 6,900,000. So, yan ang magiging bagong carrying amount ng iyong financial asset sa susunod na taon. So, meaning to say, the market value of your securities on December 31st will be your new carrying amount next year. Nung ibinenta ng company ang kanyang securities on January 10th of year 2, the following year, ibinenta niya ito ng 7,700,000. So, ano ang magiging entry niya this time nung ibinenta niya ang kanyang securities? So, we debit our cash, of course, of 7,700,000. Then we credit our security of 6,900,000 kasi yan po yung carrying amount niya. So yan ang i-zero out na natin. Kasi ibinenta na po natin yan. So we credit our financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss na 6,900,000, yan yung carrying amount, and the difference will be your realized gain. Itong realized gains, ang gagamitin mong account is gain on sale of this security na 800,000. Yan po yung na-realize na gain nung ibinenta mo na siya. In between this, itong difference nito, nung hindi mo pa siya ibinibenta, unrealized yon. Kapag ibinenta mo naman siya, yung difference ng carrying amount ng iyong securities ay mo yung selling price niya, yun na po yung realized gain or loss. So, yan ang difference niya. Kapag hindi mo pa siya naibibenta, unrealized pa lang yon. Kapag ibinenta mo na siya, realized gain or loss na siya. Yung unrealized gain or loss ay other expense or other income. Yung gains on sale mo naman ay kasama na siya sa profit or loss mo. They're both in your income statement. Ganito po ang ating financial asset measured at fair value through profit or loss, also known as the trading securities. So, paano naman ang ating financial asset measured at fair value through OCI? OCI is an acronym for Other Comprehensive Income. So, yan po ang ating susunod na video lecture. I'll see you on my next video, Financial Asset Measured at Fair Value through OCI.